Have you ever had to write code to merge intervals? It's actually a very popular coding interview question, and it shows up all the time in competitive programming. So I'm going to show you not just how to do it, but also how to do it efficiently in order of n time. So check out my channel, and I would love it if you subscribe to it. Here's a pseudocode to merge intervals in order of n time. And what I want to do with you is to help you visualize how the algorithm works so that you can see why it is correct and why it is order of n time. A popular way to merge intervals is to use a separate stack. And here you can use a stack or you can use a list. It doesn't matter. And here I'm going to call it a list. The first thing you do is to sort all the intervals by the left-hand side. There you go. And then you start by pushing the first interval into the back of the list. And then you go through every single interval in the raw data. You examine if that overlaps with the last one in the back of the list. And how do you see if they overlap? You compare the right-hand side of one interval with the left-hand side of the other. And these two intervals overlap. And so you would need to merge them and update it. And how do you merge two intervals? Well, you see, the last interval in the L would have a left-hand side that's smaller than the one you're dealing with in the raw data. The sorting by the left-hand side in the beginning guarantees it. And so you just need to update the right-hand side whenever you need to. And in this case, you do need to. And so you stretch the right-hand side from 5 to 7. You go to the next interval, and they don't overlap. And so what you do here is you push that to the back of the list. The next interval also doesn't overlap, and you also push it to the back of the list. The next interval does overlap, and you do need to merge and update and stretch the right-hand side from 23 to 27. The next interval also overlaps, but you don't need to do anything to merge them. The next interval also overlaps, and you stretch the right-hand side from 27 to 29. The final interval doesn't overlap, and so you push it to the back of the list. That's it. So now you've merged all the intervals in the raw data into 4 non-overlapping intervals in the list L, and all that's done in order of n time. And now I want you to take a look and notice how whenever you push an interval to the back of a list, you do it only when this interval doesn't overlap with the one immediately before it. And because how the left side of the intervals are sorted, it also follows that this interval you're about to push to the back doesn't overlap with all the other intervals before it. To put it another way, if both the left-hand side of the intervals are sorted and one interval doesn't overlap with the other one immediately before it, all those intervals don't overlap. So think about it for a moment. This is what guarantees the correctness of the algorithm. Okay, so now let's look at how you can actually do it in place without using a separate stack. But all that takes is to keep track of an additional pointer, j, and that would point to the equivalent location of that last position, last interval in the separate stack. And j starts with 0 here, and I, as before, starts at 1. You compare these two intervals, I and j, and these two overlap here, so you merge it, and then the interval j will stretch on the right-hand side from 5 to 7. And now I moves down by 1, and they don't overlap. And so you would push j down by 1 slot and copy interval I to the j slot. These two also don't overlap, and so you would move j down by 1 slot and copy interval I to the jth position. These two overlap, so you would stretch the interval j from 23 to 27 on the right-hand side. These two also overlap, but there's nothing to stretch here. And these two also overlaps, and the right-hand side of interval j would stretch from 27 to 29. And these two intervals, they don't overlap. And you would push j down by 1 slot and move interval I and copy that to the jth position. And that's it. That's how you merge intervals in place. That's it for today. And if you like this video, be sure to check out my channel, and again, subscribe to it. You can also check out my website. Bye.